everybody. Welcome back to Tooltip Tuesday. I'm Jennifer Stenhouse from Little Metal Boxes, and I have been, I have been roaming around Europe with our other Little Metal Box partner, Helen Cowart, and we have had the best time. Hey, Kinsey. Hey, Chris. Wanted to catch you up. We had a fantastic time. Helen and I toured and got in as many museums between London, Paris, Oxford, and had a chance to visit Wales and Cardiff and visit Lee Appleby, who is the sweetest person in the entire world, plus, aside from his wife, who's the second and tied for first sweetest person in the entire world. Helen and I had a chance on Monday to take the train up to Wales. For those of you that missed that week's, it was 2 weeks ago, Tool Talk, hey, hi there. Helen and I had, we took the train up to Cardiff and drove at great risk to life and limb up to the little town north of Cardiff that Lee Appleby lives in, and we were very fortunate to visit his studio. His wife was incredibly gracious and just lovely. We had the best time. She's very funny. Lovely family. And had a chance to tour Lee's studio and see what he's working on and talk to him a little bit about what it was like to be on all the glitters, to be on a competition show for jewelry, what kind of challenges that was really like, a little bit of what it was like behind the scenes, and what he was doing before and since. So it was really great to have a chance to sit down and talk to him. And Lee, like so many other people, hey, if you're out there, if you're watching, he's just really the most genuine person, and as most metalsmiths I've ever met are. Just happy to meet other metalsmiths from all over the world. So it was amazing to just sit in another metalsmith studio and see what they're working on and talk about stuff. And Helen and Lee and I all did as Helen refers to it, as a drag and brag, where we drag out all our stuff and talk about what we're working on. And Lee's wife got in on it. She brought out a whole bunch of stuff that Lee had made her, and we just had a great time being able to talk about that. But it was interesting to talk to him about the experience of being on a reality competition show that was something that involves a technical skill, and what that was like. And oh, hey, Ryan, and which Ryan is aware of behind the scenes on competition shows. But it was really amazing to get to connect with somebody like that, who just has lots of stories to tell and was just awesome. Driving through Wales, I would challenge anyone that feels that they are an absolutely competent driver and or navigator to navigate and or drive through the Welsh countryside, because if you don't speak Welsh or read Welsh fluently, all the street signs and all the directional signs on the highway, it's all in Welsh, and without changing color, text, font, anything. Below that, without very little separation, is like an English version of what's above. But because you feel like you are either having a bad day at Scrabble, or B, you've suddenly gone completely dyslexic halfway through the sign. So just thankfully, Helen was the best navigator, and we were able to get to Lee's house and back to the train station on time. We had a marvelous time there. Lots of stuff at the British Museum, the Victoria Albert, the Tate, the Louvre, d'Orsay. Had 2 days in Paris that were amazing, and we went up to Oxford. And Oxford is a brilliant town. Loved the Ashmolean Museum that had an amazing exhibit of pre-Raphaelite drawings and watercolors. It was spectacular. So if you're into that kind of thing, it was awesome. And went to Tate Modern. Yeah, was awesome. But yeah, it was just a wonderful trip. So, to catch you up on things, a couple of things going on that I want to give a shout out to some folks. One, Corkie Bolton. Congrats. Corkie's book just came out. I just got it in the mail today. So shout out to the Metalsmith Society Guide to Jewelry Making. And it is awesome. Corkie did a brilliant job on the book. And I've only had a chance to sort of glance through it between the house and rushing over here to do Tool Talk. But it's a really lovely book. And it is, let's see, what is it? $24.99, and you can go to Metalsmith Society and purchase it there, and be a Patreon for Corkie, so she can continue doing great stuff on Instagram and on her channel that she brings to everybody. She's an amazing educator, and we love her. So anyway, yay! Cheers to Corkie. And what? I have an extra one. So later on this week, we are going to give away a copy of Corkie's new book, and you'll see the details in back on our Instagram feed. So yeah, take a look, and we'll have one to give away. We have an extra one. The other thing I want to give a shout out to, the other person, is Saturday Night Live. And Saturday Night Live, I love Big Red EDC. And if you are a knife person, you would really love touching base with them. Big Red is awesome, local person here in the Washington area, but is known throughout North America for his reviews on knives, and is an incredibly supportive person in the community. And big shout out to him. Thank you so much for the swag, and I will put it on a locker so I can share it with others. And thanks, Big Red. And thanks for the swag you sent Jason for his birthday. I appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, so if you touch base with them on YouTube, so check out his channel there. And it's an amazing community of people, and very supportive, and I like them. So, but yeah, Saturday Night Live is usually on in the evenings. He's been shifting to afternoons every now and then, but check him out. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool metalsmithing blades and designs and things that I'm kind of fascinated by in that community. And the knife making and collecting community is kind of an interesting part of the metalsmithing community. And so yeah, props to Big Red EDC. Also, tool tip for tonight. I want to talk to you guys, and I've talked a little bit about tweezers before, but I wanted to do a tool tip tonight on tweezers because there are so many great things, obviously, that a girl can use tweezers for, but in the jewelry studio, they are an essential tool, and a lot of people look at them as a one-time buy, and they really are a studio consumable. And I wanted to show you a couple of things that are kind of handy about them, and some different tweezers that are really helpful. And I want to show you a way to using the diamond burrs, and I think I've showed this before, but it's worth resharing, is the using a diamond burr to actually modify your tweezers so that you can use them for special purposes. I use mine a lot at work because they're notched, and have modified them so that they will hold a lot of the earrings and size pieces that I have to do multiple things of. Whether you're doing it for like an earring post or wire, or you're using the notch to hold the piece, it can really make a big difference in holding something steady for you, where you need it for exactly the amount of time that you need it to be there. So one of the things that this is really helpful with is holding pieces that are a little bit bigger like this. When they're round, they have a tendency to want to slip out of a pressure fit pair of cross-like pliers like this. But this one, you can kind of see, has a little hole that's in the top, and that was done with the diamond burrs. And I will use a diamond burr in the size that is about the gauge that I need it to be. So if I'm doing something for like a 19 gauge wire or for earring post, I have a very small one that I can use to create a small notch. And for larger things like this, I can get a little bit bigger cylinder burr and use something like that to create a bigger notch to hold something steady while I'm working. You can also use them to carve parts away or to smooth down the tweezers, and over time, if that breaks off, I can clip that off, file it down, and do it again a little bit farther back. So I can continue to modify these even after the tips break off. I know a lot of people are like, oh, my tweezers are awful, and it's like, well, fix them. Let's see, if I've got a pair, I know I have a pair. Oh yeah, here's a pair. Where you use them for soldering, and they're super fine, and after you've used them so much, they begin to get annealed on the tip, and they're too sharp and weak to hold anything. So here's what you do. I'm going to take my big cutters, so these are the ones I use for steel, and I'm just going to actually cut the tips off of the tweezers and cut them back about 1/4 of an inch back, so that, there we go, and there we go. Come on, guys. Once they're annealed, it's pretty easy, just from soldering with them all the time. So I cut those back, and so they're a little sharp at the top. And I'll take one of my old files here. Hello. Hi, everybody. Hello there. Hi, how are you? Hello. Kathleen, hi there. You missed my recap on meeting Lee Appleby. Good. You can go back and watch it later. So, yeah, so just take those tweezers, and so now I can file those down, and suddenly they're a little bit more substantial pair of tweezers, which is awesome. And if I need to shape them or smooth them out or clean them up a little bit, I can do that really easily with the files. And I will grab a piece of sandpaper, like 180, and just smooth the outside. And I do want to make sure, anytime you're filing steel with steel, you can get some magnetized pieces on this, so I always rinse this off and run a magnet over it to remove any little bits of the tweezer filings that might have come off. But now, da-da-da, nice and sharp again. And I'll get the inside as well and just hit it with a little sandpaper, and now suddenly I've got a much better grip, a little sharper tip if I need them, and a little more substantial pair. So if I need a new pair of the really fine tips, I can order those. They're only a couple of bucks a piece. They're not expensive. But you know, once you're able to modify these to what you need, they actually become more useful. And so you can, you know, shape them with files and turn them into all kinds of stuff. Hey, Jen. So yeah, so don't be afraid to, you know, if you've got some, and everybody's got them, I know you do, right? Give me a hand check on how many people have tweezers that have just gotten crispy on the end, and they're just languishing on your solder station. Show of hands, please. I know you're out there, Jen. Well, you use a different kind of welder, but for those of you that are using tweezers that just, you know, the ends are shot, go repair them. Go clip off the ends, file them down, sand them, and get yourself a fresh pair of pliers or tweezers that you can actually use. Yeah, thank you, Jen. So, but yeah, once you file them, yeah, just run them under some water, rinse off any residue, or maybe run a magnet over it to remove any of the little filings and stuff. And I will usually do that over my bench too, so I don't end up with like iron filings on my pieces or even near my solder station, because I don't want to, you know, accidentally get that stuff mixed in with my solder, and or onto my solder station where, you know, you put it in and suddenly everything is coated with copper. Yeah. Oh, Jen says, I have so many crusty tweezers, everything I do gets soldered. Yes. So make some fresh tweezers. Just it took me 30 seconds just to clip those down with my, you know, really heavy wire cutters, and just give them a quick file, and suddenly you've got fresh tweezers, and you're like, oh, that's so much better. So Yes. All right, go do that. The other thing I will say too, and this is one of my favorite little secrets that I love about tweezers. This pair, these are AA brass tweezers, and you know how hard it is to get those tiny little parts that maybe you had an earring post break off, or some little piece of wire or a little ball, and it fell into the bottom of your pickle pot, and you're like trying to get it out with these giant tongs, and you're like, come out, and nothing comes out, and it's like a little piece of sheet. You can't get under it because these things are too big, fat, and dull to get under the piece of metal or to grab a teeny tiny post. So that's what I love about these guys. So these are brass, and you can put them into your pickle and pick up little teeny tiny bits. So, you know, sometimes something escapes. A basket, if you've got one, I like using like a coffee filter, plastic coffee filter, to help separate parts in the pickle and keep them organized. But if you have small stuff to reach in there and get, having really nice little brass tweezers can just save you so much time and frustration, and they're like $1. So, you know, for $1, add them to your cart next time you're checking out. Just add them right now. Just go over to that Rio cart, just check that off. But you'll thank me later. I promise. You'll like those. All right, so, but let's talk about notching these cross-locking tweezers. So, like I said, I've got a new piece that I want to be able to grab onto really well, and the notch I have in this one is for earring post and like 19 gauge, so they're really small. This one is for a little bit bigger, it's like 16 gauge, but this is a little bit larger than that. So I've got a, somewhere rolled away, I'm going to use a piece, and I usually will sort of check the gauge of things and make sure that whatever cylinder burr I'm using is about the gauge of the thing that I want to hold. If it's too big, it can kind of shift around a little bit, and if it's too small, you can't quite get a good bite on it. So I try and get it as close to the same gauge as possible. There we go, that'll do it. And so a set of diamond burrs like this one, I love my diamond burrs, and I've done several classes on diamond burrs demystified. They're awesome. And this is just one way that you can use them. But for like $14, you can get a whole set of little diamond burrs like this, and they are great for things exactly like this. You can use a, you can actually use like a regular drill bit, but it's hard to get it to stay where you want it. And if you're having a hard time getting it to stay right where you want, you can put a little notch in it to start, like a center punch, with either a saw blade. Just cut a little bit of a line just one time through, and that'll give the burr someplace to center, so it won't just roll out of the tweezers. With these, all I'm going to do is, and I've actually got a little place already started on here, is, hey Michelle, hi there, is grab onto the tweezers and just slowly apply some pressure and just squeeze those tweezers together. And once I get that started, I'm just going to cut that little notch. There we go, you can kind of see the little notch now. And so there we go. So now I've got a great little adapted pair of tweezers that can hold that spot, and it just locks right in. So I know it's not going to like wander around too much because it's the right gauge, and it's not going to roll around and pop out of my tweezers while I'm trying to solder. So this really can make a huge difference when I'm working, just to hold things steady and keep it where I need it. So just being able to, you know, lock onto something like that is really helpful. And of course, if you're using, you know, something like your third arm, that's going to hold everything at the right height and place while you're working, which makes it a lot easier to see what you're doing, and it's holding still, so you've got the benefit of that. If I'm doing something like a pin stem, or adding a wire straight up and down, and I need something to hold it really well, The cross-lock tweezers with that notch in it works brilliantly, and I would highly recommend it. So that way, with a set of diamond burrs like that, you can not only modify your tweezers, but pliers and all kinds of other things as well. So yeah, just the big trick is not all notches are going to be the same size for things. If I'm using something like a 19 gauge wire, a bigger thing is not going to hold that really very well where I need it. So for something like that, I've got a smaller notch that can hold things a little steadier. And the smaller notch doesn't work on bigger stuff because it'll not sit in the notch properly. So yeah, there you go. So notch those tweezers, and when that burns up, you can clip it off and reshape it and do it again, and you still have a pair of cross-lock tweezers adapted for that purpose, right? So hooray! Adapting those tweezers makes all the difference for making your life an easier place to be. So when you're trying to do like complex solderings and things. So anyway, that is the update on tweezer modification. Now, the other thing I wanted to share with you guys is we have a whole bunch of fun things coming up, and I wanted to, let's see, let me get this over here, and let's do that one. So we've got a bunch of cool classes coming up that I wanted to share with you. One in particular that I'm very excited about is we have a guest artist, Leslie Perino. So shout out to Leslie, hey, who is in outside of Chicago and teaches at Evanston Arts Center and is absolutely brilliant. I love Leslie, and she has been doing enamels for a very long time, and she has a kind of a new way, a new twist on enamels that you probably have not seen. And what she does is she's using a thinner copper and using embossing folders to make these fabulous pieces. And so you can put patterns into, very complex patterns, into your metal, and then when you fire it, you get these gorgeous, seriously gorgeous patterns. So that's coming up on September 24th and 25th. It's a 2-day workshop. The list for all of the embossing envelopes or folders are all on there. Leslie is an amazing teacher, so please, I know this class is going to sell out, so sign up early for this so that you can get any supplies that you need. For some people that are, if you've already been doing enameling, you probably have a lot of the supplies, but if you haven't done it, it's for all levels. And there are great ways that you can sort of be introduced to enameling through doing torch firing or using something that's a lot more affordable, like a beehive kiln. So if you haven't done any of this, it's amazing just to watch it. She's, like I said, an amazing teacher. I hope we have her for more enameling classes because she's really good. And but I would definitely recommend Leslie's enameling class. So get signed up for that. Also, coming up, we are just adding a new section to the selection of classes. We're adding core skills. And the core skills class are going to include sawing, drilling, filing, and I forget the other one. But there are four core classes that you can sign up for that are classes that don't expire. You can continue to watch them. They're videoed, much like our classes are. So you can, once you purchase the class, you can go back to it and watch it over and over again. And we've tried to make them really affordable so that they're like prerequisites for some of the other classes. So if you don't have a lot of the skills with drilling or with sawing or understand what files are, this will give you the prerequisites for some of the more advanced level classes and really help you to build some of your basic skills. I've sat in on Julia's file class a number of times, and I learn something every time I sit in on that class. It's amazing because I am not a file-centric person, and Julia is, and she is amazing. In fact, speaking of knives and files, she has a 2-day file work rings workshop coming up. So if you do any sort of any sort of like gimping on knives and want to really understand how to do things like put in a pattern into the spine, or want to do bracelets with a file pattern or rings with a file pattern and understand how to do a pattern on a radial grid. Julia is amazing at explaining this, and one of her rings that's in the picture, there it is, has bats. So she actually designed a pattern that she could file repeatedly and have it come out exactly right. That's, understanding how the files work and how to do a pattern like that comes in really handy, not just for this skill, but for stone setting skills and for accuracy when you're trying to get a pattern on something. So I would highly recommend it if you haven't taken a serious file work class before. Like I said, if you're a metalsmith, jeweler, knife maker, all of these things are going to be helpful down the road to really understanding what your files are capable of and how to be really accurate about what you're doing. So sign up for that. That's coming up on August 27th and 28th. There are still a few spots left in that class, and I guarantee you're going to be like, oh, okay, I get it. I get why why it's important, and two, how this works. Also, on the 27th is the reticulation workshop with me. So I'm going to be showing you how to reticulate brass, silver, and shibuichi. So we're going to talk about some other alloys and doing heat treatment on a lot of different metals and working on sample pieces that can give you pieces that you can use on things like rings, earrings, and so on. So heat patterning can be great, and it's sort of just one step away from melting it for casting. But being able to do the texture and things like shibuichi, which is a beautiful like cat's tongue sort of texture, or like a lizard skin sort of texture, versus the sort of Grand Canyon-y textures that you can get on like a sterling, and different than like the Mars scape that you can get on brass. So those are coming up. And also a good basics, back to basics class. Got the flex shaft demystified on September 3rd, and I will show you everything and more, the care, the feeding, how to take care of these. If you don't have a flex shaft and you're like, I don't understand which one I need, this is the class for you, because I'll help you understand which ones do what best, what all the attachments do, and why you may or may not need more or less power, what the foot pedals are for, what the speed dial does, what the hammer hand pieces do, what all those bits and bobs do. So the Flex Shaft Demystified is a great class. Hey, Big Red, I was just saying shout out to you. Jason loves you right now. Well, he loves you all the time, but he just got his box today, and I stole some swag. So thank you. And yeah, so I was giving a shout out to Saturday Night Live and Big Red EDC. So go check him out on YouTube. And also to Big Red, if you guys are interested as well, there's a great file work workshop coming up that is fantastic for the knife makers as well as the metalsmiths. So, so yeah, we've got a bunch of good classes coming up. We'd love to see you in there, and we'd love to see your work. If you're working on stuff, make sure you share it with us so we can share it with other people. And speaking of sharing, again, thank you, because I've got some swag that's going to go on my new cabinet. So I'm pretty happy about that. So yeah, thanks for that. And again, congratulations to Corkie Bolton and on the success of her new book. We're very excited for you, and we've got one of these that we're going to be doing a giveaway later in the week, and you'll see the details on that pop up. So I hope you guys are having a great week. If you have a chance, like I said, to go to Europe, go and make friends and connections all over the place anytime you have the opportunity. One of the things people were like, how did you meet Lee Appleby from All That Glitters BBC TV show? And I was like, well, he's on Instagram, and I was like, hi Lee, I'm going to be in Wales. So so don't be afraid to get out there and make those connections, because you've got there's a community of metalsmiths, and that includes the knife smiths and metal workers, and it's really, really awesome. Oh, and Michelle, just from Lear Works, thank you, Michelle. Chris has a soldering stand that is up for pre-order this evening. If you haven't seen Lion Punch Forge's new solder setup, oh my God, it is amazing. So you can pre-order those, and it is well worth it. And Big Red said, our son and wife just went to Rome for... Oh, that's right. Yeah, congratulations to Big Red. His son just got married, and they went to Rome for their honeymoon. Oh, they're going to have so much fun. So much good food. Yes, so the Axis solder stand is available for pre-order on Lion Punch Forge, so go over and check that out. And for those of you that are here in the States, hooray! For those of you that are in the UK, I had a great time, and I hope to see you again soon. And I'll be posting some more of the images that we had from the museums, some of the research that I'm doing on the jewelry casting book, and some really wonderful jewelry from the last 25,000 years. So keep an eye out for that. And if you have any questions, as always, give us a direct message, and we're happy to answer your questions. Or info@littlemetalfoxes is great. So, whatever you have, let us know if you have questions. And if you have any ideas for tool tips, things that you're curious about or don't know about that you would like more information on, let us know, direct message us, and we're happy to share that information with you and others. And all of our tool tips are available on our YouTube channel, Little Metal Foxes, as well as here on Instagram. There's also other free content, like our visit with Lee Appleby. I would highly encourage you to watch it. Lee talks about his Durston Agile 130 rolling mill, and talks a little bit about the bench that it's on, which is awesome. Lee's a delightful human being. So anyway, have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday, and check out the upcoming classes. All right? Thanks, everybody. Mwah!